I'm not convinced that we're not an artificial intelligence. I know that comes down, that comes down to a definition, right? It is, in my kind of exploration of thought, I was talking about something I call the Techno-Terrestrial Hypothesis. Something that is, to me, interesting. I was talking about this years ago, trying to understand, and weave together the best insights that I have on this. But it does, there's an argument to be made that human consciousness is somehow embedded, almost like directed panspermia, though, onto Earth, and that this is happening all over the vast universe by maybe another intelligence.
Today you're going to learn about a theory called techno-terrestrial, something I had never heard of. Who brought it up? UFO filmmaker and researcher Jeremy Corbell. You see, oftentimes we don't get to hear Jeremy talk about these sorts of things, theorizing on what the phenomena is or could be or who we as humans are, right? Because oftentimes we hear Jeremy talking about the push for disclosure, what's going on in Congress, videos he's trying to release, whistleblowers, that sort of thing. So it was great to see Jeremy sit down on a podcast called the Bigfoot Collectors Club, okay? And just sit down and chat about, these sorts of things. And I have to admit, this theory that Jeremy throws out, I had never heard before, and it is kind of interesting, right? As we as humans, who are we, right? Now, we've all speculated ourselves on the origin of mankind, right? Where did we come from? What is our purpose? Why are we here, right? And there's a lot of theories out there, right? And this one might be a new one.
I'm not convinced that we're not an artificial intelligence. I know that comes down, that comes down to a definition, right? It is, in my kind of exploration of thought, I was talking about something I call the Techno-Terrestrial Hypothesis. Something that is, to me, interesting. I was talking about this years ago, trying to understand, and weave together the best insights that I have on this. But it does, there's an argument to be made that human consciousness is somehow embedded, almost like directed panspermia, though, onto Earth, and that this is happening all over the vast universe by maybe another intelligence, maybe, as you said, transcended the need for physical form, right? So if that's the case, we would be an artificial intelligence. And then we say, well, are we sentient? Well, it depends how you define that term. Sentience might be a multi-layered thing, and we are experiencing sentience on one level. So if you really kind of step back, again, I'm not convinced wholly that we aren't some semi-artificial intelligence. It is also an idea that we may provide some use to another intelligence. So you said, why would they do that? Why would they go around at that point and create these forms and seed? I think we're talking about like seeding different planets and
right.
why would you do that? And I don't know the motivation of a conscious being that has had billions of years, transcended physical form, all this stuff we're hypothesizing about.
Of course, yeah.
So, but I do wonder that when we get to this point, maybe this is happening everywhere. Maybe the idea is that you can seed this form of life, this may be artificial to that planet, but this form of life around the cosmos, and maybe there's a purpose for that. I have heard, these old school ideas that, we are containers for something. Well, containers for what? What is value? What is the commodity that we are helping to carry under that theory and idea? And, of course, there's a lot of other ideas about that. It could be, the soul. But again, how do you define that? Like, what does that mean? We are I feel like I'm wearing a meat suit, but the me, the ego and the self and the consciousness, that this is just helping me to express that. So if I'm already feeling that, I can only imagine the possibilities of what the human design, could be holding. Even within our genetic code, there's information that builds us. That's information. That's data. So maybe this is a techno-terrestrial kind of thing where, the whole universe as we know it is constantly seeded with what we call life.
All right, this brings up a lot of different thoughts, right? These are the kind of conversations I like to have sitting around, right, and talking about this phenomenon. Is this kind of thing, theorizing, what is the hypothesis? What do these things mean? Philosophizing about it, right, rather than arguing over what is for certain and not for certain, what is absolute, not absolute, right? Is this guy telling the truth, not telling the truth? I prefer these kind of conversations, right? Speculating on something we don't understand, right? And the moment someone tries to be like, I have all the answers, that conversations with that person are no longer interesting. You know what I mean? And it's not genuine. Nobody has all the answers, right? Even the person who has all the answers, right, or whatever intelligence is out there, all probably knows there's more to know. You know what I mean? It's like this is an unfillable glass. That makes sense? Infinite. All right. Anyway, so the idea that humans are artificial intelligence is very interesting, right? Jeremy doesn't mean, at least what I took from it, artificial in the sense that we didn't just naturally occur on Earth. We didn't just gain our consciousness and whatever naturally on Earth. It was given to life here, or life was brought with that, intelligence here, right? So it's artificial in that sense. But I would argue that's still natural, but that's all semantics. And that's kind of the issue with a lot of this is defining the terms we use, right? Artificial intelligence, right? Defining those terms, panspermia, humans, AI, non-human, right? The universe, right? Like these terms that we'll use, sentience, consciousness, right? Like what awareness, right? Soul, like what are we, right? These beings, like what do we mean by all of this, right? We're just like we're basically like deep sea diving with no flashlight. We can't see anything. We don't know what's going on, but there's a big space of something going on, right? And, it's kind of interesting. Typically life seeks out other life, even if it's to hunt, right? A predator searches for prey. And even a herbivore that eats plants and stuff is looking for other life to eat, to ingest, because life is a circle, right? Shout out Elton John. It's like you would think that even advanced civilizations are going to be seeking out other life, just like we're trying to do out in the universe. We want to know about other life. That seems to be a constant. Life searching out other life. Helping other life, destroying other life, having interactions with other life. Because what else is there? It's not like we're talking to rocks and rivers and, you don't sit down and talk to the campfire. You sit around and talk around the campfire, right? Like it's one of those things that, life seeks out other life. So this idea that could these other advanced beings have created other life out there. Any sort of interaction with other lives makes sense, especially from other intelligences, right? Now, granted, there would be exceptions to the rule, right? But typically, that's it. Life seeks out other life, and this idea is very interesting because we just don't know our origins. There's so much we don't know because we have one reference here on Earth. That's it. It's not like we have other planets with life on it that we can compare and contrast, and right, and even life itself, even consciousness. We have one example of, right? We don't even know what that means to be conscious or aware. Like, we're not even entirely sure what that is, right? And this techno-signature idea, if life forms have moved on to another form, right? This sort of techno form, which, hey, my digital aliens theory, anybody that's been following Vetted, I threw that out there last spring. That's something I've thought about for years. That's sort of my theory, digital aliens. That's what I call it, digital alien theory. Because I think advanced civilizations have moved on past the body form, biological, right? They're in a digital form. There's this whole digital universe that exists with all the advanced beings in it. And every once in a while, they may pop into our existence, but once you reach a certain level, you move past this world as we know it, and you move into this other digital realm, right? Not a simulation, It's like, we just leave this form, move on to something digital. You can live infinitely. You can get around instantly. You can do everything, right, that you want. It's just digital, right? And that would check off a lot of boxes for what we see, what we encounter, right? Because a lot of people think that the entities that come here to Earth or have been here or whatever stories you hear, right, that they're like lifeless. They don't really, they're like robots, right? Sent here. Not even real people. But other, again, this community is so full of stories. You've also got stories of, we communicate telepathically with these beings and have conversations with them. And some people say we're working with them on bases here on Earth. You know what I mean? That's the thing. And that's the thing. All of this stuff goes everywhere, right? It's like, can we just first have the first encounter where beings from another planet show up in a spaceship and we just get, Christopher Columbus showing up to the beaches, right? Can we get that moment first before we start jumping all over these other things? It's like crazy. So I don't know, but this theory with Jeremy is very interesting, and these guys continue to talk about it. I've got the rest of this clip here that I want to share because they bring up some other great points as well.
No. And that life could go back to exist before the Big Bang, before, sure. It could have come here from the previous universe. It could, who knows how far back in time,
Yeah.
this thing has existed, right? That we're talking about.
And then I really resonate with that idea where it's like, then our purpose is then to sort of reintegrate technology in our modern world and then invent the thing that created us again in many points all over the universe, all at once, all the time.
Seemingly in conjunction with nature, too.
Right. Yeah.
Alongside nature, not in a destructive manner towards nature.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you can't destroy nature, because if you do, you're blowing up your own planet, and then it doesn't work.
But that's like not all the plants flower,
right?
And
right.
Hopefully we flower.
Yeah. But that would tie into why people are getting these messages of like, be good shepherds to your planet.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go the way of the bomb. Go the way of like love, peace, harmony.
That seems to be the message that is
conveyed.
conveyed.
We can collectively grow and become something and leave the planet, spread this further, keep the grand thing going, you know?
Which is funny because sometimes the encounters that I hear that I believe that person had that experience, it's an indifference, a complete sterile indifference. And then other times you hear about these very powerful, often positive, sometimes frightening experiences, like at the Aero School, and Liesel and Salma are friends of mine. I've heard them tell me over time what they encountered when they're very close to that being that landed at the kids' school. And they said it was like, the word they used was mesmerizing. Like it held their attention while putting almost like pictures within their minds. And Liesel said she had to break away and then it was just gone. Like the second she broke away, it's just gone. So you wonder, maybe that's a form of communication, but you do wonder, are they telling us as it is? Or are they telling us as they want us to believe it? And that's the other issue that you have is just because...
Are they spreading disinformation?
You got to ask. You got some super smart guy come in the room. They can convince you of some shit. You got to be fucking careful. You don't just believe him because he's got a PhD.
Yeah.
So are the aliens lying to us? What do you think? I mean, I've said that on the channel multiple times. How are we to even, the aliens told us this, or they, I got this message. It's like, how do you even know to trust that? How do you know that they're not lying? Think lying doesn't exist in their world? You know what I mean? You don't know their intention. You don't know their purpose. You don't know anything. So to just take what they say is just like the written gospel. You know what I mean? It's like we have no idea if they're, just like Jeremy said, if they're telling us, the truth or what they want us to believe is the truth, right? I don't know. It's just one of those things. And you hear the trickster theory from Jacques Vallée and other people, right? They're just tricksters playing with us, right? But again, I totally believe that as far as like any message we got, there's no way to confirm that that's true or real or anything. What if there was aliens sending out messages as other aliens? Does that make sense? Like prank calls, you know what I mean? Just pranking, right? It's like, I find that kind of funny, right? To be honest with you, would they play with us? Would we play with another planet like that? No, but I think we would do tests and experiments, on another advanced, if we found some other civilization, I think we would put them through tests and see things. They may not understand what's going on, but that doesn't matter because it's all about perspective. What is our mission for that particular, moment? So non-human intelligence, right? Maybe these other advanced beings, are doing the same thing, right? Just experiments. It's like it doesn't mean anything. And, at the end of the day, we just have no idea. And to think that life is just so, I think life is teeming out there in the universe. I think there's so much life, just overwhelming. And the moment we start to recognize patterns and signatures and get the right tools to identify it, I think we'll all of a sudden just see it everywhere. Just like if your vision is really blurry, right? Imagine it's really blurry, all your vision. Then you put on glasses. Everything becomes visible all at once, right? Everything comes into focus all at once. It's not like one little dot and then here and then there, right? And that's kind of how these processes go. It's like the moment we crack the egg, we'll get in, right? No pun intended there. We'll get in. And we'll just see it all, and we'll just see that the universe is teeming with all this. And then it becomes, there's all kinds of motives and, intentions from all of these civilizations that would be throughout the universe, all at different levels, you know what I mean, of advancement and technology and society. And, because we have to start asking ourselves, what does advanced mean? All right, when we say advanced civilization, what do we mean by that? Do we just mean, technologically? What about spiritually or mentally or philosophically or societally, right? Racially, ethnically, like how advanced are they? In what ways? Right? Politically, right? Like artistically, like what do we mean? Like there's got to be different levels. Is just advanced technology, that's a show of your advancement. Therefore, you know everything and are aware of everything, right? Like, what if it's not? What if that's not the way to go? Anyway, thoughts to think about on a Sunday. So anyway, y'all, hope you enjoyed today's episode. This was a lot of fun just talking about this and theorizing it. So I can't wait to read the comments. Let me know what you guys think of all the different theories, right? Who are we? Where do we come from? Are we a part of the answer? Are humans a part of the truth that is yet to be revealed about non-human intelligence? Are we somehow a part of that? That's interesting, right? One thing is to think, okay, non-human intelligence has come to this planet, are still here, whatever, right? Another thing is that, but with, they either created us or a part of us or somehow part of our history, right? Like, or we're them and they're coming back to help us again, like if humans are involved, is that narcissistic of us, right? If humans are involved in this answer of the truth, that's pretty fascinating, right? That would add another level. Either way, So anyway, all right, y'all. We'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.